Dave Pearce, and this is the Dance Years. Tonight we're going back to 1997, the year that Norman Cook became Fatboy Slim and the French invaded the charts. And of course I've got my top 10 tunes of the year, kicking off with this one. My number 10 track of the year was a genre-defining classic, Rip Groove by Double 99. It epitomised a new type of music coming out of London, and the music press instantly christened it Speed Garage.
We'd set up Ice Cream Records in '95 and we'd got to '97 and it was like the 10th release and we decided to do a double pack to kind of celebrate that we've got to 10 releases and stuff, and you know, and basically it was a case of Andy, who is in True Steppers now, who we set up Ice Cream with, he was putting us under pressure for the titles, for the artwork, and we told him the tracks were already done, but they weren't. We kind of come up with these track names, and because we were called RIP, it was kind of, we thought we'll do a track called Rip Groove, which could be like our theme tune or whatever. We'll just title it that. And then it was around the time when Armand Van Helden had just done CJ Boland, and I liked the vibe of like him putting the kind of the drum and bass, bringing the drum and bass thing into house music, because it was fresh. It was like everyone was into sort of vocal garage or kind of UK underground sort of, you know, speeded up US records and stuff. We just thought, let's just try something. We've got 8 tracks on the double pack, let's just try, experiment. There's nothing to lose, do you know what I mean? If people don't like that cut, there's 7 others that they might like. And we just done it, and I found the bass sound on an old jungle record, same with the vocal. Omar was like, yeah, let's sample this. I've got these drums that we want to take and stuff, and just put it all together, arranged it, done it in about 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours.
We just thought we're going to do it, and it sounded wicked in the studio, but we thought some people were going to hear this and laugh because it's just so crazy.
It was almost like, yeah, just, you know, taking the mickey out of all these different sounds and stuff and just bunging them all together. It's like, it shouldn't happen, and it did. And I remember you gave it out to some DJs and stuff.
I think it was Spoonie that played it first at the old Twice as Nice. And literally when he played it, it was on a razor rostrum, and I took a couple of steps down so no one could see me. I goes, yeah, wicked, Jonathan, give it a try now. And he put it on, and the people went nutty. Then I stood up and I was like, yeah, round the booth going, wicked.
First time.
Speed Garage was all over London in the summer of '97, with its skippy beats and big bass lines. It replaced drum and bass as the sound of the UK underground.
Speed Garage is fundamentally a speeded up house sound with a jerky 2-step rhythm. It's evolved from the black scene and apparently evolved from London, so it's very much a UK hybrid of dance music.
The UK garage thing took a long while to evolve over a period of years. It was only sort of 96, 97 when people realised, well, this is the scene, but for many years before that there was music that was, you know, we was trying testing sounds and until we got to the sound that we really liked.
I think Armand Van Helden's owed a lot more credit for the genesis of Speed Garage than he's ever given the dues for, because both Spin Spin Sugar and Sugar is Sweeter created those bass lines and those sort of chunky rhythms and those massively time-stretched vocal snippets that went on to influence the early genesis of the UK garage sound, which has now moved off in a slightly sweeter, more vocal-orientated direction.
They were basically taking the American house records, speeded up, and that became garage.
The word garage came out when nobody even understood what that was about, when it really came from garage, the Paradise Garage. You know, and we listened to garage and we're like, it's not garage.
When you got Morales and Todd Terry and they're like, yeah, we started it. Well, they kind of did, but not on purpose. It was more of a fluke thing that they started, and they weren't really aware of what was going on and how their work and productions were being used by us over here in the UK.
We never really deliberately went to take the US garage tag at all, but you know, that's how it is as a media, that's how it went on.
It definitely had a huge effect on the drum and bass scene because it stole all the girls left drum and bass, which had become quite kind of hard and noisy and stuff, and all went to the garage scene. And of course, as any DJ knows, if you have the girls in the club and everything else is fine.
American DJ Armand Van Helden created his own speed garage anthem with this mix of Spin Spin Sugar, which is my number 9.
Spin Sugar was written more or less in a day, and what we were thinking when we first came to do it was I wanted a tune which was the fast-forward tune on the record, the tune which no one was going to listen to. So we thought we would make it as electronic and unlistenable as possible. And so we did the first version of it, which is on the very first version of Becoming X, is like an electro-experimental kind of avant-garde piece with lots of weird noises in it. And we thought, there's no way people are going to like this. This is just an experiment. This is just folly. It turned out that people started to really get into it, and then we were thinking about the theme in it. Decided to do a more kind of, I guess, a more pop kind of version of it. And out of that, suddenly it became a kind of dance thing, and we got Van Helden involved.
Going off the street?
Yeah, we found him begging, and so we gave him the tune to remix, and it was not bad.
Yeah. And hence Speed Garage was born.
I think the Sneaker Pimps track, Spin Spin Sugar, is, one of the reasons we got into UK garage. It's obviously Armand Van Helden, and that bass line, it was way out there. It was different to anything that was around.
By now, no club has used the term dance music. Everything had a label: tech house, deep house, hard house, handbag house, new house. The list was endless.
A lot of people say there is only good music and bad music, but I do think categories help people who are looking for it. It's like buying a can of beans. It's labelled a can of beans because it's not a can of potatoes. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes categories are helpful, sometimes they're divisive.
I'm tired of hearing brand names. I don't believe in brand names. When people ask me, well, what are you playing these days? I'm like, I'm playing music.
I think there's always going to be offshoots of styles of music, especially with dance music, because dance music is already an amalgam of so many different kinds of music. To me, dance music is anything that's danceable.
I think the public always feel the need to pigeonhole something. I think it's a lot less scary if you can name what it is. If there's a type of music and you can't put it in a category, I think people are scared of that, which I think is terrible.
That's the one biggest sad thing I find with this country, is that you can't go out and dance to a cross-section of music. You have a house room, a garage room, a trance room, and people just aren't playing across the board.
Over the years, some genres, I've just ignored them, however big they are, because you can't just go jump on every bandwagon that comes along, although some people shamelessly do it.
In the UK, I mean, every day or every 5 minutes there's something new coming along. The industry is more concerned about reinventing the wheel as opposed to cultivating and giving any of these forms of music the attention and the energy it needs to really, really grow and to really become something.
You read through the back of a magazine and there's 72 pages dedicated to 72 different genres of music.
If it wasn't for us, they would have nothing to write about. So it's kind of, they're looking for all the angles all the time. Who's new, who's coming through, what's going to be the new sound, so that they can sell units and sell magazines.
I have this conspiracy theory that you have certain journalists that are sort of paid to change the name of a set of music, and then within a week you've got a compilation out and I'll name that by some major label. But I could be wrong.
Well, just to prove that the Italians hadn't lost their touch, my 8th biggest dance anthem of the year comes from Italy. It's Brainbug and Nightmare.
Nightmare. That's a tune with the descending string chords in. It sounds like a horror film. In fact, a friend of mine on a dance floor, rather the worse for wear, thought they were in the Hammer horror episode with the house that dripped blood and had to be persuaded otherwise. But yeah, a good, if rather sinister, piece of music.
Rainbug's Nightmare is something that I would never play as a DJ, I'm sorry to say. It's formulaic, fairground music.
Still to come on the Dance Years, the French make dance music sexy again, and we hear from Norman Cook. Welcome back to the Dance Years. It's 1997 and time for a drum and bass classic. Innovative producer Ronnie Size proved that the drum and bass scene was still as fresh as ever, with my number 7 track, the outstanding Brown Paper Bag.
Of brown paper, sounds that we bring are of a different nature. Rhythms get greater and the rhythms they get greater. Yes, another rougher tough form for the chaser. New configuration, new riff and new structure, built on the frame that'll hold and won't puncture. Tight, we wrap it up, it's wrapped tightly.
Ronnie Size's Brown Paper Bag is just a pure energy record, and because it's got that double bass line as well, it's something that translates to a kind of jazzier audience as well, and a lot of DJs from my side of the track certainly played that record a lot. And you know, I mean, Ronnie got so much attention for the album and what he was doing at the time, but that record to me, okay, people would say it's a drum and bass record, but I just say it was a raw funk record.
Brown Paper Bag was intelligent drum and bass, and it was different from all the jungle. It just had that sort of different jazzy thing to it. And I saw Ronnie Size play in Prague, and apparently it was the first ever jungle drum and bass thing that had been to Prague, and the Czechs, they loved it. They didn't have a clue what to do with it or how to dance to it, but they really didn't know what had hit them. It's great.
Rhythms get greater and the rhythms they get greater. Yes, another rougher tough form for the chaser. New configuration, new riff and new structure, belts on the frame that'll hold and won't puncture. Tight, we wrap it up, it's wrapped tightly. Step, 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 step. Paper, paper, paper.
Brown Paper Bag by Ronnie Size. That was such a good record. It still is such a good record. There are so many convincing remixes of that as well. There's a Photech remix that's so good. There's a Kruder and Dorfmeister mix that's so good because they do so much with it. I think the reason you can do so much with a record like Brown Paper Bag is because it's got so many clearly defined elements. It's got this incredible beat, for one, which is the first thing you'd hear. But the bass line in that record, the way that moves is incredible. You could take that bass line and make a whole new record out of it that would still sound good. That bass line drives the whole thing on.
dance music of various genres becoming a permanent fixture in the charts, it was inevitable that some of the more successful producers and DJs would be accused of being too commercial.
Working at Mixmag in the early 90s, we very much felt that we were on a kind of mission to get the rest of the world to take dance music and clubbing seriously. And by the end of the 90s, that had pretty much happened. I mean, one guy, Andy Pemberton, who was a features editor, turned around one day and he said, well, look, the war is won.
Success and commerciality walk hand in hand. Once you're successful, you're in demand. Once you're in demand, you're everywhere. So you become commercial or you become a hermit.
You can never predict who is going to go on to be, you know, a big act just from their first record. A lot of people you maybe think would be a throwaway, you know, sort of like one-hit wonder, end up going on to sort of like sell lots of albums in America. And other people you maybe thought, well, here's someone who's a serious, proper act, and then they do disappear.
Where a record really appeals to a pan-genre range of DJs, it makes all the difference. A great example is Josh Wink, High State of Consciousness, that was getting played back in the day by everybody, from Jazz's Giles Peterson through to Fabio and Groove Rider in one of their houseier sets, and all the shades and colours of DJs in between. If you can make every DJ play your tune, and not many producers can, then you are surefire going to have a hit.
Pop has become a bit of a dirty word in the last 15 years. I don't think, you know, the sort of things I call good pop records are things like Firestarter or Rewind by the Artful Dodger. You know, to me that is clever pop music. I don't think of kind of manufactured pop music as being good pop music. I like pop music that's kind of organic and made by artists rather than made by record company executives and producers.
A popular tune is pop, and it's as simple as that. And it's like, you know, if you're so up your own backside that you don't want anyone to hear your music, then just make it in your bedroom and don't ever put it out. I get really pissed off with artists that like have record deals and then moan about all this selling. You know, why did you go for the record deal? That's what they're there for. That's what the record company's job is, to get you out there. You want people to hear you. Cut the bullshit.
Well, over in Paris, two reclusive Frenchmen created my #6 tune of the year, Daft Punk with Da Funk. And this has to be one of the weirdest dance videos of all time. Check this out.
Video technique.
Historically, the French have always been great at fashion and art, but a bit shit at music. So where did it all go right?
I think it's a tribute to how international dance music is, that the French were suddenly allowed to become a major musical force, which had never always been utterly despised for Johnny Holiday and Michel Thor and the stuff they used to listen to before, which is kind of unfair because they have had good music in the past, like Serge Gainsbourg, for instance.
Up until the mid-90s, it was never a dance music country. If you go to Paris and you go to nightclubs, you'd hear hip-hop, jazz funk, and like the old style of dance, or what dance was known to be years ago. They never really got involved in house, and it took them a long while to fall in, and I think it reached a point in the mid-90s where the French just realised they'd been missing out on this culture that is just so much fun, and they just decided to get involved just like that.
What the French have done basically is taken the old school disco sound from the 70s and sort of jigged it into a contemporary sound of the 90s, and really it still has that sort of fundamental disco feel.
I think the thing about the French sound is they're a bit more adventurous. I think because they're, you know, they're near to England, but not quite in England. They've got that English slant to dance music, but they're not afraid to go that little bit further.
If you hear a French record, you can often tell it's French, even though it might be from a different producer. It might be Daft Punk, or it might be Cassius, or it might be, you know, DJ Gregory or Bob Sinclair. They've just got a certain sound over there.
There are two variants of what one might call the French sound. One is the filter disco sound, or the use of filters in the studio, as exemplified by Daft Punk or perhaps Bob Sinclair. The other is the more ambient, noodly, for want of a better word, sound, as someone like Air or Mellow would do.
Their reference points culturally were much wider than normally happen in dance music. Normally people talk about, you know, spaceships or taking drugs or sex, and that's it. And it became very quickly very, very important. So much so that that's where Madonna went when she, you know, wanted to record her music album and recruited a French producer and basically did a, you know, this whole Madonna hits, which are basically Daft Punk records with Madonna singing, you know. It's hugely influential.
Speed Garage, UK Garage. underground garage. Call it whatever you want, there's no denying that my number 5 tune was a major anthem. It's Tina Moore and Never Gonna Let You Go.
First actually played that tune, you know, as being underground DJs. I mean, it came out and was released in '97. I think it was '94. End of '94 was probably the first time I got a double pack of that tune, and there was, you know, 8 different mixes, and that mix just was slightly different from what we were playing in the clubs because it was predominantly that 4/4 beat that was, you know, it was hitting through. But the 2-step vibe just slowed down the evening. It was probably a club that we used to play really late, one of the late night, early morning sort of clubs where people had their raving and just was chilling out, having a drink and partying. And that was a tune that you'd break up the evening and play that tune. And then, you know, a couple of years later, you found that a lot of the DJs were playing the tune to a point where they said, well, hey, let's release this track. And when we actually met the producer, he was kind of shocked that, hey, how did this mix blow up and not the other mixes? It was that was the 2-step mix. And that, again, was probably inspiration for producers to go on and start, you know, kicking into the 2-step vibe.
It was Steve Silk-Hurley who done it, and this other guy, Keddy G. And it was like sort of the first big 2-step record. And I remember Omar playing it to me in the studio, and he goes, yeah, I think we should use something like this. And we did use something like that, but it wasn't a sample. All right.
Let me show how I missed you. I'll tell you things that you love.
One of today's dance music superstars was making his name in '97, or one of them anyway. Having had success with various pseudonyms, Norman Cook finally settled on Fatboy Slim, and the rest is history.
Norman Cook has got a lot to answer for. He's helped in a big way, especially in America, pushing dance music in America, because the Americans are very sort of stuck on rock and roll and hip hop, and you know, Norman Cook is a kind of cross between the two with a more upbeat attitude, and he's done a lot for British dance, you know, around the world.
I'd started my career as a DJ, but then I was in the House Martins, and so most people assumed I was a kind of like Anarchy Smiths fan from Hull. But in fact, I was a kind of hip-hop and dance and funk DJ in Brighton. So when I sort of decided that white people could make dance music, there was quite a few eyebrows raised, you know, saying, oh God, you know, white, you know, sort of enemy readers saying I should be hung for selling out and crossing over to the opposition and whatever. So I kind of sticking my neck out. But to all my friends, it was just like, oh, at last he's making the music that he likes rather than what he feels he should make because of his birthright. Pseudonyms. I don't know how many I've had over the years, and I'm in the Guinness Book of Hit Records as the most amount of chart entries under different names, which is 8. And the Fatboy Slim one, it was just a drunken think tank, and it doesn't mean anything. It just comes from, I used to really like old blues singers with really strange names like P.T. Wheatstraw, and there's Pine Top Slim, Memphis Slim. So if you're a fat blues singer, you always call yourself something slim, and so I thought Fatboy Slim.
He's just a really nice guy. Very down to earth. He's just done it all and tried it all. And the thing is, he just takes the piss out of himself. He really doesn't take himself too seriously at all. He's kind of like, I look at him as the Beach Boys of dance music, you know, he's out there trying to surf and have a good time and really isn't too concerned with what anybody else thinks.
My number 4 track is another example of the growing popularity of the big beat sound. It's the Chemical Brothers. Now, they've won awards all over the world, including a Grammy. Here they are with Block Rocking Beats.
Back with another one of those block rocking beats. Back with another one of those block rocking beats. Back with another one of those block rocking beats. Back with another one of those block rocking beats.
Block Rocking Beats was a key track for the Chemical Brothers for sure. It wasn't for me personally because it clearly marked their crossover from being a great underground coming up act to an act that's made it in We're Here. I kind of felt a bit disappointed about Block Rocking Beats, to be honest, because it had a bit of a cheesy element. It was quite formulaic, but in saying that, it's a key track because I think born of that was the whole big beat scene that they're obviously pioneers of.
Another one of those block rocking beats.
I remember another surreal TV moment with regard to the Chemical Brothers and Block Rocking Beats when, being such an animator as I often am, I dug out this record called Coup by 20 Feet Skidoo, and it starts da-dan, 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 da. You know, it's basically block rocking beats. So the presenter said, guys, does this ring any bells? And their faces just went white, because I mean, they've basically stolen that record without any credit.
I like some of the stuff they do. That record was just a complete rip-off of a 23 Skidoo record with a Schoolie D sample on it, and I thought it was awful.
We're about ready to rock.
Block Rocking Beats, this has got an element of sort of violence in it, it's sort of jumping about a little bit to it. I like music, it's just dirty house music, but it's just got a little bit of dirt in there, do you know what I mean? I like a song to sort of grab a fistful of my hair, bend me over and slap my ass. Do you know, that kind of, go on, bastard, sort of song, and I think Block Rocking Beats is one of them.
Coming up after the break, my top 3 tunes of the year.
My body is a holy temple.
Nice temple.
Thank you.
Would the holy temple like a cool glass of Brita filtered water?
That would be lovely.
You'll notice the difference a Brita filter makes to tap water because it reduces hardness and chlorine along with metals like lead and copper for a more natural taste.
I think the holy temple's a little cross.
Brita is clear from the taste.
Cosmic Blue, Brown Fusion, Blonde Extreme.
Live from Schwarzkopf, colours of now with multi-reflective technology. Vibrant, permanent colour. Live, unlimited colours from Schwarzkopf, professional hair care for you.
Hello, worth an extra. All aboard. Here we go. Steady. Easy, Tiger. Wow. Never fails.
You can't get fresher than Extra.
I'm a kid. My job, eating junk. I'm supposed to eat what you call good food, like all this and stuff grown in earth. Okay, I'll go for the whole this. You think we have no discretion?
White Hovis. Get something good inside.
Oh, really? That's amazing. My mum's have all gone on.
Oi! Lover boy, you forgot these.
What's going on?
Sister, fancy dress party? Aye, that's right. Superman? Shorthead.
Mobile phone, Jen. Get one like mine. Perfect.
Forget that, Jen. You want to get one like mine.
How do you find the mobile that's right for you? Just head for the link. We believe in treating all our customers as individuals. We've a huge range of phones, tariffs and money-saving deals. And together we'll help you choose the one for you. It's your easy link to the right mobile phone.
Oh, Lucasade. Oh, Spartacus. Oh, you cheeky little monkey.
This is Reloaded 3 with Papa Roach and Limp Bizkit. Muse, U2, Coldplay and Wheatus. 37 explosive tracks including Stereo MCs, Ash and Stereophonics. Reloaded 3. The real music is here.
Welcome back to the Dance Years. In a minute, we'll be checking out open-air clubbing. But first, my number 3 tune of the year. No top 10 of 97 will be complete without this piece of magic from Todd the God Terry. By hooking up with 2 of dance music's biggest divas, Jocelyn Brown and Martha Wash, he created a truly uplifting, feel-good anthem. Here's Something Going On.
Feeling good in every way. Hey, hey, feeling good in every way. Feel the spirit here tonight. Round and round and let it go. And I'm here to let you know there's something feeling good in my soul. As the rhythm starts to grind. If you feel it like I do, stop the beat and let me know something's going on in your soul.
That song is real simplistic, you know. Some people call it half a song, but you know, to me, it's just enough to get you going. And I don't think every song has to be just outlandish with a bunch of hooks and things like that. I just think simple wording and nice little hooky lines can carry the whole song through. So, I mean, Something Going On was probably a different formula since it's really me writing it. I'm not like the greatest writer at all, but you know, what I tried to do is make a simple song that I know that I'm gonna sing it to, or just people who are gonna sing to in general and catch on to it just right away. They're gonna know that that's something they're gonna wanna, you know, sing while they're driving or something like that. So simple songs I know work really well too.
Todd Derry is an awesome producer, and Something Going On, I think it was very much of its time. It was one of those tracks that wherever you'd go in that scene, be it Back to Basics, be it Ministry of Sound, and I suppose even dancing around in the old days at the Annex at Cream, you'd know when something was coming in, and you'd just see the crowd erupt erupt the sounds of Todd Terry, and it did the rounds, and it was a good tune.
97 was the year that outdoor raves went overground as promoters put on huge legal parties. The biggest party of that summer was Tribal Gathering.
Dance music needed an event where it was all brought back together under one umbrella, where people remembered the whole experience of driving through the countryside, hearing that distant bass drum beat, seeing the lights in the distance, the adrenaline pumping and building and building and building. And when you got there, it was even better than you possibly imagined. It was like landing on a different planet.
We knew we were getting nearer because the traffic was getting harsher, and then suddenly there were just thousands of cars queuing to get into this big rave, this outdoor rave. It was fantastic.
I had this vision of lots of different tents, each with a completely different environment, different style of music, and a party which provided entertainment overload, where people couldn't, it was almost impossible to decide where to be at any given point in time.
There was about 10 tents, all different music. You had fairground rides outside. You had mad clubbers with their glow sticks, their white gloves and whistles and war paint, and it was really, really the best atmosphere you could possibly imagine.
Being outdoors, I mean, the best backdrops you can get are the trees and the sky, and you light them up and things like that, and the fresh air, and it's much more culty, much more like it used to be, thousands and thousands of years ago.
There was definitely something about, being outdoors and dancing all night and this kind of stuff that really appealed to people. So it wasn't really a surprise that people like Universe found ways to do these events legally. And I think there was a willingness on the police, especially after Castlemorton and things like this, to find ways to allow, legal events to go ahead, that they could control people going in and out, and they could control the safety, this kind of stuff.
It took us about 3 hours to get out of Tribal Gathering. Just remember, hordes and hordes of ravers, all with shades on, still all gurning off their heads, all trying to get out of Tribal Gathering.
It took an enormous amount of effort, fighting with authorities and what have you over the years, fighting with sort of local residents groups. And yet, when you stood on stage at 3 o'clock in the morning, looking out on a sea of thousands upon thousands of people, knowing that they were having that night they were going to remember for the rest of their lives. That, even now, it makes me tingle.
My number 2 record first came out in '96, but became a huge hit when it was re-released in 1997. This was on the radio all of the time. Olive, You're Not Alone. One English DJ whose popularity had soared as a result of his productions with Underworld was Darren Emerson.
Darren Emerson is absolutely brilliant. What a man. And he's one of the loveliest guys you'll ever meet as well. He's like a big heart, it's all smiles. The guy is just so nice. And I love all the stuff he's doing, and what he did for Underworld was great, he really added something, a real dimension.
When I was 17, I was drinking down the local pub, and one of my friends, Martin, I was talking to him, he goes, my brother-in-law's got a studio and he's looking for a DJ. And, of course, I was doing well with my DJ, and I wanted to move up the ladder and start sort of getting into the studio and producing some music. So I hooked up with Rick. We sort of spent some time in the studio, and it sort of took a little while, but then we started sort of gelling, getting to know each other, because Rick didn't know much about dance music and I didn't know nothing about studio, so we was both learning off each other. Then Cole came into the scene, he started doing some vocals, and it sort of just snowballed from there. The name Underworld came from before I was there. They had the band called Underworld, which was like a rock pop outfit. And so I wasn't even going to, I just wanted to produce bands. I didn't really want to be a part of a band, but because I was working with Rick and that, and they said, come and join us. And it was like, well, okay. So I joined the band, and so I've become a part of the new Mark II Underworld instead of the Mark I rock pop thing. It turned into a dance thing.
Underworld, ever since the Train Spotting, have been a phenomenon which has proved relatively unstoppable. Obviously he's not in it anymore, but I'm pretty sure he's going to carve himself out, as he did before, a career as a DJ, which will prove the fact that that he can stand alone.
He's a fantastic DJ. What he's done with his Underwater label has been great. He's put out some fantastic releases, like the Cliffhanger being my favourite on Underwater. Brilliant label. And like Darren Emerson is just one of those people, you always want him at your party. party. He's one of those guys that you're always happy to book him and for him to play, because he's going to come, he's going to bring his mates, he's going to bring his records, he's going to bring his vibe, he's going to bring his good times, and he's going to enjoy it. And Darren Emerson, fucking, we love ya.
If you went out clubbing in '97, you couldn't have gone anywhere without hearing my next tune. This was the big anthem of the summer, and it was probably the ultimate sing-along dance anthem. It's my number one, Ultra Naté and Free.
By the time Free had come around, I think I had evolved to a place in my career as an artist and as a songwriter where I had finally put it together and really understood what I was doing and really understood what I brought to the table in terms of my music and doing things the way I wanted to do it. So Free was just kind of like my grow-up song, I was dropped from Warner Brothers in '94, something like that, and I was just kind of regrouping and trying to figure out what I was going to do from that point on. So the song was approached with a lot of pressure to make sure it was something that I felt really good about. But when we finished it, all we had really that we knew for sure was that we had a song that we loved. So we had accomplished our goal from that perspective, but how the masses were going to receive it, that's always a roll of the dice. So we couldn't take for granted that people were going to really get it. My main point was that I wanted it to be completely different from anything else that could possibly be played that evening, in the DJ set. I wanted it to separate itself from everything else people were hearing. So either you loved it or you hated it, whatever the case, you knew the song was distinctive in that right.
Well, that's it for this week. Next week we're going back to 1998 when Mousse T got horny, Big Beat was everywhere, and we'll be charting the success of Roger Sanchez. I'll see you then.